Equalization in process. A work of humanity's hearing we can compare with the work of spectral analyzer. Spectral analyzer shows up a total spectrum of all instruments in a certain frequency. But our ear hears only the loudest sound on this frequency. Our mission is to cut all superfluous frequencies in instruments, for each of them sounds in their range. Conclusion. It is absolutely not important if instruments separately sounds awful, important how they will sound together in a mix. The device Spectral Analyzer will help you in a process of control. For example, .rta, Penguin, Spectrolab or Loud Technologies EAW Smart. Spectral Analyzer will show on which frequency spectrums are overlapped, blocked, and also will help which frequencies at what instruments are necessary to cut off. Of course, I don't force you to mix with Spectral Analyzer, I just recommend you to use your ears. In difficult situations, Spectral Analyzer helps to control bass and sub-bass. On these frequencies, it is possible to reveal problems at wide experience and at big control. I mean special acoustic of a room and qualitative control monitors. In my home studio, I use KRK-RP8 monitors and Spectral Analyzer, which is built-in plugin Isotope Ozone 3. This means all to achieve a great result. Anyway, finally mastering has to be done by specialist in a studio or by label. In my opinion, to do mastering at home is impossible and dangerous. Reasons are the same. You need a wide producer experience, good acoustic design and great control acoustics. Some mycologists prefer to do the whole process, from beginning till mastering, by their own. With great pleasure, I work with session musicians and experts on record, mastering, and prefer to give each professional to do their job. As I said before, the easiest way to solve frequencies conflicts is to do it on groups instruments. Let's start with classical group, bass and kick. Kick spectrum are quite wide-striped because of mid-frequency click with expressed hump in an area from 40 till 200 Hz. Bass spectrum is almost linear in an area from 42 till 1500 Hz. So it means that we have a classical example of overlapped, blocked spectrums. Let's listen bass and kick together. The volume of bass and kick must be approximately equally, which kicks priority in 1-3 dB. Let's mute bass channel and remember how sounds kick. Now we switch on bass again and listen careful what is wrong with kick sound in low frequency spectrum. Let's switch on off bass several times to see what happens with kick's timbre. Usually, because of bass's overlapping spectrums, the low frequency of kick drum disappears. Solve of conflict number 1. A resolution of a problem usually consists of cutting a frequency from a bass for 7 frequencies whole for low frequency component of a kick. Attention! Use only nonlinear phase equalizer, for example, Waves Q series. Let's do a small cutting in bass, 3 or 5 dB, and displays from 50 Hz till 200 Hz. We hear that in one moment a kick begins to sound wide in low frequency area. You should cut the main kick's frequency from the bass, very careful, otherwise the sound of mix on low frequencies will be very faded. Also, you should experiment with right choice of kicks and bass's timbres. At ideal conformity of timbres of a bass and kick, a bass doesn't sound simultaneously with kick, but the impression is made that it sounds constantly. Often recommend to situate a bass and kick in different octave. Yes, you have no misheard. A kick is same instrument as the others. It has their own frequency of sounding. It means that a kick plays on a certain note. For this reason, we cut frequencies from a bass, not from a kick. A kick plays on one note and a bass on different, in the area from 1 till 3 octaves. Also, with experience you will understand that the bass's frequency should correspond to a tonality of the whole track. With experience you will learn to hear and to correct the bass's frequency. If you are a beginner, usually you hear that this kick in this mix sounds bad. More often helps a bass sample's replacement on other sample, with possible tweaking in minimal limits. Also pay attention the duration of a kick should correspond to a speed of track. The kick makes quarter from duration of 1 bar. The most typical mistake of beginners is a rise of frequency on a bass from 50 till 150 Hz. In a result, a kick will sound good, but not in balance with bass. If we make the kick more silently, we fail the rest spectrum of a kick and just aggravate the conflict. Solve of conflict number 2. I'm sure everybody likes when about our tracks people say, yeah, it's pumps! Second variant of resolution of overlap of spectrum of kick and bass is sidechain. The principle of work of sidechain is very easy. We have an operating signal, a kick drum. And an operated signal, a bass. In insert of a bass's channel we put a compressor. A compressor makes the bass's loudness lower during sounding of a kick. In rock music, this effect is used for solving the problem of overlapping of a spectrum. In electronic music we get super pumping track. Also, you should experiment with sidechain not only of a bass, but also of other instruments, guitars, leads, pads, percussion loops, and so on. Use your imagination. For finding your own sound in home studio, I suggest you to make an experiment with sidechain with use of reverb and delay. In fact, such simple experiments do your sound unique. In my practice, I use a package of plugins Digitech Dynamics Pack for sidechain. Also, in new versions of Steinberg Cubase 4.1, there is a possibility to use some VST3 plugins by default in sidechain mode. Paradox that from the beginning this method was a quick resolution of overlapping of a spectrum, and now this method became special effect which has found very wide application in house music. At creation tracks with other artists, I often collide with artificial sidechain. This method reduces to simple volume control, so that during kick sounding the volume of the operated instrument, for example closed hi-hat, is minimal. This means that in a track appears additional groove and pumping. Many beginners want to receive pumping effects using extreme values of a compression on the master section. This is a mistake. Nuances. In a kick it is usually equalized low frequency component, kick, and high frequency, click. The low frequency kick's body can be dense, with obviously expressed narrow resonance on 60–150 Hz, or rock with flat enough hump from 60 up to 200–300 Hz. Usually there is not enough high frequencies component in a kick, and so you should add it. This click usually must be added in the area from 5000 to 8000 Hz. If you add it lower, it can overlap guitar frequencies. Attention! You should add the click when the mix is ready. With source sound, it is very difficult to guess with what range and quantity it is necessary to add a high frequency component of a kick.